Doctor, you don't look like Satan to me.
I hope not.
Some of my colleagues have accused you of everything but abandoning your children to wolves. Do you hate medical research? Harvard, for example, with a $53 billion endowment, spends 69% of its money from NIH on overhead, does it not?
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but it's definitely in that range.
Yale spends 67.5% on overhead, does it not?
Again, roughly in that range, yes.
So all this money spent on overhead is money that's not being spent on medical research. Is that right?
Well, it's for fixed costs of like lab space and things, but also sometimes for other things. So it's some of it's absolutely necessary.
Well, if I'm the Gates Foundation, and I came to the NIH and said, I don't want money. I want to give you money. I want to give you $100 billion.
Yeah.
But you can't spend more than 10% on overhead. Would the NIH turn it down? Out of time, what we have to do is spend the money on research.
We should. Absolutely.
It's real simple.
I agree with you, Senator, 100%.
And some universities aren't. NIH is not calling them on it. Isn't it a fact that a study showed between 2017 and 2019, auditors found 137 critical trials funded with taxpayer money involving 41,000 kids, and they didn't even report the results? What happened to the money?
Welcome back to Right View Nation, the home of bold truth, real talk, and unapologetic patriotism. We don't dance around the issues, and we sure as hell don't apologize for calling out government waste, elitist corruption, or woke insanity infecting our institutions. Today, we're reacting to one of the most refreshing, common-sense takedowns of bureaucratic bloat I've seen in a long time, courtesy of none other than Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. Let me tell you something, folks. When Senator Kennedy speaks, the swamp squirms. And after watching this clip, you'll see exactly why. He doesn't just ask questions. He surgically exposes the rot, the recklessness, and the utter disdain that our so-called public servants have for your tax dollars. So buckle up, because we're about to break this down. And trust me, it's a masterclass in patriotism and accountability. Right out of the gate, Kennedy drops that classic Southern wit. "You don't look like Satan to me," he says. I mean, come on. That's vintage Kennedy. Humor, humility, and razor-sharp observation all in one breath. But don't let that charm fool you. What follows is a beatdown on bureaucratic waste and moral failure. Now listen to this guy. He loves the NIH, he says. Of course he does. That place is a bloated, unaccountable money sponge. It hands out billions in taxpayer cash, with almost zero oversight. If you were part of that gravy train, you'd love it too. But here's where Kennedy starts making the witness squirm. Boom. That's how you do it. He's not asking, he's proving a point. And the witness? He folds like a cheap lawn chair. Yes, Senator, that would be morally repugnant. Exactly. So why is it, in real life, universities get NIH money for curing dementia, and turn around and buy yachts and renovate executive homes? Oh, you think that's an exaggeration? It's not hypothetical. It's real. Senator Kennedy knows it, and now, so do we. Folks, this is the part that should make your blood boil. Harvard, a school with a $53 billion endowment, gets NIH money and spends 69% of it on overhead. Not research, not cures, not lab breakthroughs. No overhead. That's bureaucrat speak for lavish offices, padded admin budgets, and useless nonsense. Yale? Almost 67.5% on overhead. These aren't poor community hospitals. They're elite ivory towers exploiting government grants for their own comfort. So here's the million-dollar question.
Thank you. Senator Kennedy.
Doctor, you don't look like Satan to me.
I hope not.
Some of my colleagues have accused you of everything but abandoning your children to wolves. Do you hate medical research?
I've devoted my life to medical research, Senator.
Do you hate the NIH?
I love the NIH. I think I said that in my Senate hearing, my earlier Senate hearing. I think it's the most important biomedical institution in the world.
This budget that we're debating today is the president's budget. When's the last time Congress took a president's budget and enacted it?
You know, the funny thing is, I've gotten thanks to this process, I've got to talk with all of y'all.
When's the last time that happened?
I can't remember.
It's never happened in the history of ever happened.
I mean, everyone has strong opinions about what should happen, and Congress gets to have a say, and that's a good thing.
There's some changes that need to be made at the NIH, aren't there?
There are.
Okay. If I'm the president of a university and I came to you at the NIH and said, I need $10 million to research a cure for nephritis, and I took that $10 million and spent $5 million of it renovating the vice provost home, that would be morally repugnant, wouldn't it?
It would.
If I were a college president and I came to NIH and asked for $20 million to research a cure for dementia, and I took $5 million of that and used it to buy a yacht for my university, that would be morally repugnant, wouldn't it?
That would, and no, that's not.
And that's happened before, hasn't it?
That's not hypothetical, alas.
And there's been a lot of talk about the difference between direct costs, spending the money, for example, on researching cures for nephritis, and indirect costs, overhead. Harvard, for example, with a $53 billion endowment, spends 69% of its money from NIH on overhead, does it not?
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but it's definitely in that range.
Yale spends 67.5% on overhead, does it not?
Again, roughly in that range, yes.
So all this money spent on overhead is money that's not being spent on medical research, is that right?
Well, it's for fixed costs of like lab space and things, but also sometimes for other things. So it's some of it's absolutely necessary.
Well, if I'm the Gates Foundation, and I came to the NIH and said, I don't want money. I want to give you money. I want to give you $100 billion.
Yeah.
But you can't spend more than 10% on overhead. Would the NIH turn it down?
I wouldn't turn it down, no. In fact, I think that Gates Foundation overhead rates are roughly, again, in that range, 10 to 15%.
The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation limits overhead to 15%, does it not?
That's what I understand, something like that.
Now, I want you to think in terms of the American people and the importance of medical research. What do you think is more important? And we have finite resources. Okay, and I support giving resources to NIH. I think NIH does breathtakingly innovative work. But if you ask American people, would you rather give money to research cerebrovascular disease, or would you rather give $142,000 to the Seattle Children's Hospital to study how to use telehealth to improve access to gender-affirming care? What do you think the American people would say?
Senator, the NIH should be a non-political organization, non-ideological, addressing the health needs of the American people.
But yet, the NIH also spent $120,000 in a grant to, quote, develop 3D avatars that help people work through gender dysphoria, end quote. Did it not?
It did.
And the NIH also spent $2,368,492, gave it to Brown University to study, quote, improving mental health among the LGBTQ community impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Did it not?
I think it did. Although I have to say that
Do you think that's more important than studying chronic lower respiratory disease?
I mean, I think we should address the real health needs of Americans, not divide Americans we have to take into account the real differences in in the biology of people. But when we do that, we should do it in a way that really addresses their actual health needs. Not
I'm running out of time. What we have to do is spend the money on research.
We should, absolutely.
It's real simple.
I agree with you, Senator, 100%.
And some universities aren't. NIH is not calling them on it. Isn't it a fact that a study showed between 2017 and 2019, auditors found 137 critical trials funded with taxpayer money involving 41,000 kids, and they didn't even report the results? What happened to the money?
Senator, I think that researchers we support have an obligation to share their data publicly with the American people, no matter what the result.
Otherwise, it's wasted.
Yeah, agree.
All you want to do is fix NIH, don't you?
I do. I want to fix all those problems, Senator.
If the Gates Foundation came to the NIH and said, "We'll give you $100 billion, but cap overhead at 10%, would the NIH turn it down? Even the witness admits, no way. So why is taxpayer money treated with less respect than billionaire philanthropy? Because there's no accountability, because the swamp protects its own, and because the NIH has become a political playground. And now, here's where Kennedy hits the heart of the problem, where the money is going. Instead of curing cancer, or Alzheimer's, or heart disease, NIH is out here blowing $142,000 to help Seattle Children's Hospital use telehealth for gender-affirming care. Let that sink in. While American veterans struggle to get timely cancer screenings, while rural communities can't even keep their emergency rooms staffed, your government is funding virtual meetings for kids to get gender ideology pushed down their throats. It gets worse. NIH gave over $2.3 million to Brown University to improve mental health for the LGBTQ community during COVID. I've got news for the NIH. Everyone suffered during COVID, not just one identity group. Where are the grants for rural Americans? For overworked single moms? For the small business owners crushed by lockdowns? Oh, right. Those Americans don't check the right boxes for the woke bureaucrats running NIH. Exactly, Senator. This is the common sense test. You walk up to 100 average Americans and ask them, should we spend your money on curing strokes or on building video game avatars for people with gender confusion? What do you think the answer is? You know the answer. I know the answer. Kennedy knows the answer. But the NIH? They're stuck in a fog of woke ideology and unaccountable spending. And here's the kicker. Between 2017 and 2019, NIH funded 137 critical trials involving over 41,000 kids, and they didn't even bother to report the results. Where's the outrage? Where are the resignations? If a private company pulled that kind of stunt, people would be in handcuffs. But when government bureaucrats do it, crickets. That's not just wasteful, it's unethical. It's un-American. And it's why the entire NIH needs a reckoning. Senator Kennedy is doing what every elected official should be doing, holding the government's feet to the fire. This isn't partisan. It's about values. It's about integrity. And it's about respecting the American taxpayer. The witness says he wants to fix NIH. Fine. Then start acting like it. Quit wasting money on identity politics. Quit covering for corrupt institutions. Quit ignoring the needs of ordinary Americans. Friends, this is why we fight. This is why Right View Nation exists. Because the American people deserve better. Because our tax dollars must go toward real science, real cures, and real priorities, not bureaucratic bloat and ideological nonsense. Senator John Kennedy didn't just ask the tough questions. He exposed the truth. And in doing so, he reminded the NIH, the media, and the entire DC machine, we are watching. We will not stay silent. We will not fund insanity. And we will always fight to put America first. So if you're tired of woke waste, if you believe in real accountability, and if you stand with Senator Kennedy, hit that like button, subscribe to Right View Nation, and share this video far and wide. Because truth is contagious. And patriots, we never back down. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.